Well, hello, everyone. The dawning of a new era is possibly upon us. And yes, the dreaded recoil change, as everyone is calling it, has begun. Now, a few things about it before we get too much into it. One, it's not even finished yet. It's just the beginning of it. As you'll see, there's quite a few guns, mostly these from what I could tell, that are not affected really yet. I don't know if they will change at all. We just have to see how that goes. Also, a lot of people think that this change was made purely to get rid of scripters. Alistair has clarified on Twitter saying that this wasn't done for scripters and that there's another reason that they want to go more into depth about in the next dev blog next week about why they're making these changes. But obviously, it is to make gameplay feel different, and we'll hear what the reasoning for that is next week. So, but with that said, they did say that a lot of the changes they've made here and there do affect the way scripts would work and should help fighting against it, but that wasn't the purpose of why those changes were made. So keep that in mind. I mean, this is a huge change. There's a lot of different stuff going on. So before we kind of get into the guns, I'm just going to cover a few things real quick. Whoops, wrong button there. If we fly over here, you can see train cars are starting to get an upgrade. Look at this engine here. It actually has like a fully protected little outside. And when you go inside, I just love the look of this. This is so cool. And yeah, you can just see they're making a bunch of different little train cars. And they'll have different purposes. There's also kind of like a heavier, slower engine. I don't know if this might be it right here. That's being worked on. That's supposed to be kind of like the armored engine. So I think this may be what they refer to there, but it could be something different entirely. We'll just have to see. In addition to that, there's actually some work on the pets branch, and they've merged in something called dog. So they didn't put wolf. That means we might actually get pet dogs with the pet system. So it might not be actually taming creatures out there, or maybe when you tame a wolf, it turns into your dog, and it's literally just wording. Who knows? We'll have to see once there's something on that. Also, there's been a ton of work on access, and there's some background work being done on the clan system. All of that is tied to the ability to transfer between servers by ocean. That is what the access system will be, supposedly. There's so little information on that. I'm not going to give too much more, but I'll let you know that they are working on that quite a bit. Another thing that is being changed that's quite nice quality of life is once you know ammo, you should be able to craft it in the mixing bench. That means you can queue it up and walk away, not just with gunpowder, but now the ammo itself, which is beautiful. Which ammos this will stop at, I'm not sure. Currently, they just have the two default, 9mm and 5.56. But I'm sure we'll probably see shotgun shells and other stuff like that. I don't know if we'll see all the way up to things like rockets or explosive ammo. We'll just have to see what they end up putting. But this is, again, a very early change, but a really cool quality of life thing that I figured is worth mentioning. Also, we have two new items in regards to guns. We have an extended magazine, and we also have the Handmade LMG. So the extended mag seems to work pretty much with any of the looks like I forgot to turn off chat there, so hi Jack M. I bet the next question is going to be how do I spawn stuff in? But you'll see it does not seem to work on the revolvers of any sort, does not work on the shotguns, and does not work on the bolt action rifles of any sort. Now, the only semi-automatics that it doesn't seem to work on would be the semi-automatic pistol and the M9 and the M39 for some reason do not allow it. Maybe that's something that will change. The M249 and the Handmade LMG also cannot, receive the magazine. But as you see, it increases your capacity by 25%. And you'll actually see that I already have the extended magazine in the guns that can accept it. So you'll see it brings the custom SMG up to 30. It brings the Thompson up to 25, the SAR up to 20, and then the LR, MP5, and AK all up to a total of 38 bullets in there. So there's the new extended magazine. I don't know if we'll see a whole lot more. Also, currently, when a gun is using the extended magazine, there doesn't seem to be a visual change to let you know there's an extended magazine in there. I don't know if that's something that will pop in or not, but they usually like to visually represent the actual attachments on the guns so you can take a look and see what you're up against. So I'm sure we'll probably see something like that. Again, all that stuff isn't really finished yet. So, yeah, basically we've got a change to the recoil, the sound, the view model, and everything pretty much to these specific guns here so far. And yeah, it's something that I think a lot of people are going to need to get used to and see, and just give it a chance. That's all I have to say is give it a chance, guys. Also, you'll notice there is a target reticle on the screen. That is something also put in. I did not add that. That is new. So you can actually go in here and you can turn on or off a crosshair in here. Then you also have the FPS counter settings. I believe they added basic, advanced, and ping. Yeah, there you go. So you can actually have that as a literal setting right now, which is quite nice. So with this, let's go ahead and just take a look at the first changed weapon, which is, of course, the sap. So we're just going to go ahead and fire straight off. You can really hear it's a different noise. Very quiet, so to say. It's very, very different. And then now we're just going to go ahead and spray a full clip, so you guys can kind of see. Kind of does like a little zigzag kind of thing, but I mean, it's much easier to control, honestly, now. I mean, if I just, oops, helps if it's reloaded. If you just kind of try to control it a bit, you can hit mid-target real easy. So, you know, hey, that's the changes there. Next up, we've got the custom SMG, and yeah, quite a different sound. Then let's go ahead and spray the wall here. You can kind of see it's kind of like a little bit of an S there, but pretty much a little bit of recoil control, and again, pretty much just kind of steadying out your mouse, and you can hit mid-target pretty well. Next, we've got the Thompson. Definitely has kit on a staging server. That's cute. Very different sound to it. And for its recoil, you'll see it's kind of like a jagged little line that goes back and forth, but it has some erratic jerks. I think you notice when it kind of jerks a little bit more when you're aiming down the sights. Yeah, you'll see kind of it went like that, and I was really kind of just holding it down. I wasn't controlling the left to right, and you can kind of see it jerks a little more kind of left to right versus that. So that's kind of the change there with the Thompson so far. Next, if we move on to the SAR, very different sound. And yeah, I don't know. For me, it's kind of like they're a little bit of airsofty sounding, but at the same time, they do have real gun sounds. It just seems a bit off. I don't know how to really describe it, you know? But, yeah, not too much of a variation there, really, with the SAR. It's much more centered on, I feel. Then we've got the MP5. This one sounds very airsofty to me. Don't know about you guys, but I don't know, something a bit off with the sound there. But it could be just we all got to get used to it, you know what I mean? Go ahead and come up here. The MP5 definitely has a lot of upkick. I would say of all the guns, it probably has the most, besides the M249. So, wow, they really think they're on a modded server. But, yeah. It's still, you know, if you kind of burst, it kind of stays in the general body area. And, I mean, if you aim kind of for the chest, it kind of just leads its way up to the head. So, yeah. Alright, so the AK. Everybody wants to see the AK, right? Well, look at that view model. It definitely feels a lot more brutal to kind of shoot it there. And you also notice there's kind of more of a head bob going on as well. That is something that you can go ahead and turn off here in the settings. So you'll see the gun still kicks around quite a bit, but the head bob isn't as bad. But I'm leaving the head bob on just because it is a default setting, just so, you know, people kind of see what the default is there. Yeah, let's go ahead and see the new AK lock. It kind of just goes straight off to the right, is kind of how it looks. So we'll just have to see. It does have kind of a more of a shake back and forth. I mean, you can see they kind of go do back and forth. But I mean, if you do a little bit of centering, you can hold it to the target pretty well. Again, I mean, just kind of hip firing, you can still really kind of hit up the central. I mean, I'm not even really trying to aim. I'm just kind of aiming in the general direction right here. So, I mean, it really just depends how everyone kind of feels about that. The AK kind of had a universal sound that everyone knew was Rust, and even there's been a DLC for Dying Light where they added in some of the Rust weapons to Dying Light as skins, and the skins came with sounds, and it had the Rust AK sound and the custom SMG sound, and now those sounds might not exist anymore. So I don't know, how do you guys feel about that? I feel like that kind of is a big deal, but also you can't let things stand in the way of change. Always, I mean, games have to evolve, so we'll just see how it goes. I'm really curious to see how all of you feel with that there. But let's go ahead and check out the LR. I feel like it feels like a much more aggressive weapon now with the sound. But I feel like something's a little bit off with the sound still. But anyways, let's go ahead and... There you go. I mean, again, it goes and shakes back and forth a bit, but you can hold a pretty straight line with it. Again, just being able to hold down should be enough. I mean, we'll go ahead and aim down the sights, pull down a little bit, and I mean, that stays pretty center to mass without a whole lot of effort. So, hey, you know, there's that change there. So with that, then of course we have all the different changes that can happen depending on what you put on the gun. And I think the AK is pretty much the gun that people know the most. So I figured we just kind of demo the changes with the AK, and you guys can kind of figure out the rest on your own by checking it out. I mean, staging is up for anyone to go ahead and check out there. So again, you know, AK kind of just does a line, right? So we'll reload. And you see it kind of shakes a little more, you know, to the side and sides, but oh wow, we've really gone through that much ammunition that we've gone through over 1,000 rounds. That's crazy. So let's go. So yeah, it doesn't go up as fast, I would say. You know, definitely slower. Then, of course, we'll go ahead and take that off. Add on the hollow. Helps if we reload the gun, right? Going through too much ammo here. You can see, you know, it seems a little more stable, less back and forth, but still goes about up as fast as I would say it does. That doesn't seem to make too much of a difference with the upward recoil, but it does tighten it up from left to right quite a bit from what I can tell there. Then if we got laser sight, there we go. Laser sight, I would say it probably tightens up the best. And you know, obviously if we're going to go ahead and combine them all, that's going to be probably the best situation here. But of course, we're just kind of looking at each individual attachment here, how it affects the AK specifically. So I mean, definitely scatters it more, but it increases that fire rate. So I mean, it's kind of your trade-off you want to do there, you know. And then last, of course, we've got the silencer, scope, the other scopes and so forth don't actually change the recoil, so we won't be looking at that. And it looks like, I would say there's a little bit less left and right, but not that much. I mean, if you look at the actual silencer stats, it's only really supposed to increase accuracy a little bit and reduce recoil 20%. I don't know if that really felt like 20%, but nah, we just have to see kind of how that is. But obviously, you know, the combo everyone's probably going to be going for is going to be hollow and brake here. Because, you know, no love for the boost. And yeah, wow. So there you have that. And, you know, we can throw a laser on there. Here's a laser. Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, hey, there that is, everyone. How do you feel about the recoil and gunplay changes so far? I mean, we've got new view models. We have target, you know, hit marker changes. We've got recoil changes. You've got sound. I mean, everything. And so it's very different. And of course, we do have a new weapon here. So let's check that out. There is the Handmade LMG. Last I checked, I don't... Yeah, it's not craftable. It's not in the tech tree yet. But I'm assuming since it's called handmade, it will be craftable. That would make the most sense. But yeah, as you can see here, it's rusty. It's even got a little cheeseburger on there. And aiming down the sights, it's got kind of a very bulky sights. You'll see it's recoil there. Pretty much just like the M249. And when you actually put, you know, attachments on it, it pretty much just acts like the M249. Let me go ahead and just put on, like, boom, boom. Everyone's favorite, you know, combo for the M2. And yeah, pretty much just acts like the M249. So it is smaller. It does have a little bit less damage. So if you see right here, we got 58, 7, 4, a fire rate of 480, and a range of 263, of course. And then let's go grab the M249 out of here to compare. And you've got 65, 7, 4, 500, and 317. So there's kind of the differences. So for, of course, this could change quite a bit. Also, the M2 holds 100 rounds, where the Handmade LMG only holds 60. So yeah, we'll just have to see, you know, as they add more to it, what the crafting and so forth will be for it. But definitely fun idea to have this, and it's always great to see some new weapons pop in. That's always extra exciting. So that pretty much does it for the summary of everything, guys. We'll have a much more in-depth look at the finalized stuff when it pops in next week. But until then, feel free to jump on staging, guys, and test it out yourselves. Don't just watch videos and, you know, go off of that. Go try it yourself, see how it feels in your hands. I watched a lot of videos, and I really hated the sounds at first, but once I got into game and played around with them, it wasn't as weird, and some of the things kind of seemed a little better. But yeah, you just have to see for yourselves, everyone. But thanks for watching, thanks for checking out the video, and like I said, as soon as we have some more cool info, we will get it to you. As always, stay rusty, and thanks for watching.